Did you know that 90% of people who try to overcome an addiction on their own fail within the first few weeks? And that the brain of someone struggling with addiction can take up to 2 years to fully return to normal? Breaking free is one of the hardest challenges a human being can face, because addiction is never simple. It arises from a complex web of environmental, psychological, emotional, and spiritual factors. However, there is a powerful approach that combines ancient Eastern wisdom with modern behavioral neuroscience, offering a path not just to recovery, but to a total transformation. But I need you to understand this. The path is arduous, long, and painful. In this video, I will explain the neuroscience of addiction and provide practical actions to help you overcome it. Please remember, this does not replace professional guidance, which you must seek out. The story you're about to hear isn't about willpower or just saying no. It is about rebirth. It is about dying to one version of yourself and returning to life as someone else. The Japanese call this Kishikaisei, which literally means rising from the dead and returning to life. When we combine this with powerful concepts like Kaizen and Ikigai, alongside what we know from behavioral neuroscience, we create a manual that can help us overcome any addiction. Let's begin with Chapter 1, The Hijacked Brain. Amelia was 23 years old when her life quietly fell apart. She was the bright girl at school who seemed destined for greatness, dreaming of architecture and a sustainable future. But she carried invisible cracks from unaddressed childhood traumas: an alcoholic, absent father, and a mother who worked herself to the bone. That feeling of never being good enough left a void she tried to fill. At 19, she was offered something to help with stress. It started recreationally, moved to weekly use, and eventually became a daily necessity. Amelia wasn't unintelligent. She saw her grades plummet and her relationships crumble. But she was fighting a brain that had been hijacked. You see, the human brain has a reward system designed to release dopamine for survival activities like eating and socializing. But drugs hack this system, releasing up to 10 times more dopamine than natural pleasures. It's like smashing the pleasure button with maximum force. The brain, sensing something is wrong, adapts by reducing its dopamine receptors. This means the person needs increasingly larger doses just to feel normal. And without the substance, the brain panics, leading to withdrawal, intense anxiety, and physical pain. Even worse, the prefrontal cortex, the CEO of the brain responsible for judgment and control, becomes compromised. This is why addicted individuals know they are destroying themselves but cannot stop. Their free will has been chemically imprisoned. On a Tuesday morning, after losing 12 kilos and her internship, Amelia looked in the mirror and realized she was going to die if she didn't get help. She called a support center and found Dr. Kenji Yamamoto, a therapist who combined neuroscience with the ancient Eastern philosophies of his grandfather. This brings us to Chapter 2, The Cup with the Hole. Dr. Kenji was a man of calm gestures who believed true healing involved the body, mind, and soul. He listened to Amelia for 2 hours without judgment, asking precise questions about her loneliness and the emptiness she carried. He explained that what she was facing wasn't a lack of character, but a complex medical condition. She was trying to use willpower against a reprogrammed biological machine. He introduced her to Kishikaisei, explaining that she wouldn't just stop using, she would die to who she was and be reborn. Using a brain model, he showed her how her primitive brain was screaming for pleasure while her executive brain had failing brakes. But he offered hope through neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire and heal itself over time. He then placed an empty glass on the table, explaining that every addict has an inner void, often caused by trauma or a lack of purpose. They tried to fill this cup with their addiction. He poured water into the glass, but revealed it had a hole in the bottom. No matter how much she used, it would never fill up. The solution wasn't to pour more, but to fix the hole with purpose, connection, meaning, and faith, what the Japanese call Ikigai. He proposed a 3-pillar plan: Kishikaisei for the mindset of rebirth, Kaizen for continuous 1% daily improvements, and Ikigai to find her reason for living, all sustained by a spiritual foundation to fill the void that biology alone could not. Chapter 3, The Process of Transformation. The first 30 days were a living hell. Detoxification brought tremors, cold sweats, and overwhelming anxiety. But Dr. Kenji taught her to observe her cravings without fighting them, to treat her emotions like temporary waves while she remained the ocean. He connected her with a church support group where she discovered she wasn't alone. In her second month, they applied Kaizen, improving 1% every day in body, mind, and soul. Amelia started walking 20 minutes a day, reading self-help books, and praying every morning. When she relapsed in the 8th week, she was devastated. But Kenji reminded her that relapse is not failure, it's part of the process. The goal is to get up more times than you fall. By the 4th month, something clicked. While volunteering at a community construction project, she began sketching again and realized she still loved architecture. She had found her ikigai. She returned to college, took a humble job at a firm, and slowly rebuilt her identity. A year and a half later, Amelia was a junior architect, leading a support group for women, and eventually married a kind history professor named Daniel. She thanked Dr. Kenji for bringing her back to life, but he corrected her. She was the one who walked the path. This transformation is backed by science. Studies show neuroplasticity allows the brain to recover in anywhere from 90 days to 2 years, and finding a clear purpose significantly reduces relapse rates. You don't conquer darkness by fighting it, you conquer it by lighting a light, by building a life so full of meaning that addiction no longer fits. Chapter 4. The Strategy of Rebirth. Now we turn to the concrete steps to apply this to your life, starting with finding your ikigai. You must identify the intersection of what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what can sustain you. But beyond work, find the purpose that makes you want to wake up. Whether it's being a good parent or serving others, dedicate 15 minutes a day to this. Combine this with Kaizen. Don't attempt radical changes that shock the brain. Instead, choose 3 micro habits, one for the body, like a short walk, one for the mind, like reading a few pages, and one for the soul, like prayer or meditation. Track this progress visibly to give your brain positive reinforcement. And remember that 1% better every day compounds into a new life. When the inevitable urge strikes, use neuroscience techniques. Practice urge surfing by observing the desire as a wave that rises and falls within 15 to 30 minutes. Don't fight the thought, as that makes it stronger. Instead, acknowledge it and wait. Use the 10-minute rule, where you promise to wait just 10 minutes before giving in. You'll often find the craving fades. Crucially, you must engineer your environment, because it is stronger than your willpower. Remove all physical triggers, block contacts, and change your route to avoid cues. If your neighborhood or social circle promotes your addiction, you must leave them behind. If you put a disciplined person in a toxic environment, the environment eventually wins. Chapter 5. Physiology and Maintenance. You cannot recover without addressing the body, starting with sleep. Sleep deprivation reduces prefrontal cortex activity and increases cravings. So prioritize 7 to 9 hours of rest in a dark, cool room. Combine this with physical exercise, which is nature's antidepressant. It releases dopamine and helps rebuild damaged receptors. Even a 20-minute walk in morning sunlight can regulate your circadian rhythm and mood. Fuel this machine with proper nutrition: proteins, omega-3s, and magnesium, while avoiding the spikes and crashes caused by refined sugars and ultra-processed foods, which inflame the brain. To handle the emotional roller coaster, practice the 4-7-8 breathing technique to calm your nervous system, and keep a therapeutic journal to process feelings without judgment. Build a board of directors for your recovery, a therapist, a support group, and 3 trusted friends you can call in a crisis before you use. Do not neglect the spiritual dimension. Feeling part of something greater fills the existential void. If you relapse, do not spiral into shame. Acknowledge it, analyze the trigger, and get back on the path immediately. Track your progress with a calendar or app, celebrating milestones like 24 hours, 1 week, and the neurological turning point of 90 days. Finally, the conclusion, the 90-day protocol. Here is your roadmap. For days 1 through 7, focus on survival, detox, sleep, hydration, and removing all triggers. From days 8 to 30, stabilize. Establish a rigid routine of waking, eating, and light exercise, while attending support meetings. From days 31 to 90, begin reconstruction. Implement your Kaizen habits, work on your ikigai, and engage in meaningful projects. Overcoming addiction is one of the hardest things you will ever do, but it is the act of saving your own life. You are not just quitting a substance, you are becoming the person you were always meant to be. Like Amelia, you can experience Kishi Kaisei, rise from the dead, return to life, be present, walk with honor, and follow the path. Thank you for watching.